All right, friends, Nicholas here. DIVOted Talks, DIVOted Talks. Depending on how you want to say it. Keep my head recognizable by turning my hat to the side, just so I know where I'm at in the recording ethers, so I can get caught up today. So it is interesting. Today has played out where it looks like I might have a free rest of the day, and I got to sleep in, and I think I'm going to take advantage of it. I think I'm going to wipe my schedule the rest of the day because people just haven't signed up, you know? And I have to remember that the business should work for me, not just for other people. But I say that mostly to remind y'all that, again, we act like somebody is hiring us to do work for them. But in reality, you're hiring that business to pay you to have the life you want. I heard that in a mastermind group. And I did kind of bash masterminds, but I didn't bash them because there are some really good people who understand business and have lived life lessons and are able to, through wisdom, help others be more of what they can be and help others see life in new and exciting ways, or in an ideal way. But it's through that collaboration and communication that ideal is recognizable. Anyway, just to tie things together. But I promised I would talk about these social media antics. So I knew as soon as I made a comment that it was going to go where it went. I didn't know it was going to go as crazy as it went, but apparently this guy's post went semi-viral. And so my message, because of my responses to people, became the first seen one. And so then everybody was jumping in on it. So I think I played a hand in the virality of it all. But, man, people were nasty. And I mean, I didn't say the nicest thing about it. It was talking about Dan Bongino and Pete Hegseth. And I said my feelings, and it was just two words. Just said, douchebaggery. Could have said debauchery. And cluelessness. That was it. And then everybody pounced on me, from bots to real people. And some, I had interesting conversations. Some called me a faggot. Like, they called me slurs, and they talked about how I would never be successful in business. And I'm looking at them like, what do? You work for a local city's government, and you're telling me about my life? Thanks. Super appreciated. Anyway, so I replied, and it got to a point, and I was like, man, I used to be so sensitive as a kid to people's opinions and thoughts and highly charged things. And all I could do was laugh. I was like, that's your best insult? You called me a faggot? You called me such a basal word? And that was it? Or you were like, oh, well, you own your own business, but all you have are faggots there. And I was like, except for the straight people that I just saw, maybe I should let them see your comment and let them let you know how they feel about what you're saying. I mean, it was just like idiocy. And, somebody was trying to preach to me, oh, you couldn't hang. I did 50 years of work and I'm retired now. And I'm like, cool. I'm 41 right now, about to be 42. I bet you I'm going to get my 50 years of working, and I guarantee. And he's like, well, we'll see who has the last laugh. And I was like, sir, I'm going to have the last laugh because you're so much older than me. I will be laughing many times after your passing, God willing, and it's not to, belittle your life, but, let's have some context here. And then he was like, well, from somebody who's wise in their years and whatnot, you should listen and don't be persuaded by the liberal mindset and stuff. And I was like, you don't know anything about my mentality. You didn't ask. You assumed based on my responses who and what I am. And so I saw firsthand this tribality. And I was like, you know what? At the very last thing, I had a moment of, look, I spend a lot of time in my life trying to help people see their ability to heal. And I would welcome you into my studio without any problems. I mean, some of your insults, poor as they were such visceral, very reptilian brain insults. And it's like, I would have welcomed you into my studio. In fact, my people would have welcomed you in too. And you could really benefit from this. But it just left me thinking like, wow, he has such a skewed view of the world, and yet he's spending all his time trying to point out to me how skewed mine is. And ultimately, we do kind of feel the same way. He wants to protect me and save me from this liberal mind virus that he thinks exists. And I think he has some MAGA mind virus. And, you know, at the end of the day, I would like to see him not have that, but I don't have trouble having banter and having a strongly worded back and forth. But if you're going to insult me, you better go good and you better make me laugh. But all I did was laugh because it was, in my opinion, a pathetic excuse of insults. And not to call him pathetic, but like it reminded me of the pettiness and the strength the weakness masquerading as strength that we've been witnessing over the last 9 to 10 months. And I don't know exactly what I'm trying to get at, except that if every little thing challenges your worldview, then maybe your worldview isn't actually representative of the world, right? Like we got into this world in the Trump administration where you can just call things fake news because it's different than what you want it to be or different than you believe. And it doesn't change the fact that people still believe that way. So you trying to say that, it's fake news or it's an alternative fact, okay, but that's cool. But if you start having people pile up against you, not everybody is some bully and you're some victim. Like that just can't possibly be true. And if you're fighting so hard to beat people back with your opinion, because I never really went into insults with him. I just was like, that's all you got? That's your way of trying to prove a point here? You got to have to do better than that. And that's all I could say. And a couple of times I was like, your insults don't make any sense. Oh, well, look at you. You just don't even know what's going on. Ha, ha, ha. And I was like, again, not insulting, not hurtful in the least. And so I really started to see how taking things personally based on our tribes and the information that we surround ourselves with can be very detrimental to growth. Like my fear is that that particular man that I'm thinking about is going to go to his grave screaming at the computer and screaming at the television for these fabled quote unquote libtards when he doesn't even know if somebody actually is that or not. It's just his catch-all for people who don't agree with him. And I did see a glimmer of redeeming grace within him, but I'll probably never speak to him again. But I am also going to stand firm in everything that I am. And over the last couple of episodes, I've kind of hinted at that. Like, I have started to think about the life I want to live. And part of the life I want to live is I can say what I want. I can defend the things that I say without losing who I am in the process. And I can do it without fully insulting other people. I can banter, and I enjoy a good banter. If we can all laugh about it, it's cool. But come at me, bro. See what happens. You say you're tough, and then you don't even have tough things to say. All you can throw at me is, oh, Second Amendment, and you own a gun. Cool, man. My dad was a U.S. Marshal. If you're just on audio, my hands are up. I'm like, I grew up around D.C. There's not a lot of things that are going to impress me that much. I've seen presidents. I've met presidents. I have talked with and met and hung out with Secret Service. Like, you're not going to impress me. Not that I'm diminishing your part of the world and what you do in the world, but it seems like you're pushing so hard for respect or, I don't know, acknowledgement that I'm wondering, wow, like to have worked for 50 years and to be retired and you have to fight so hard to get acknowledgement, but you're the only one who's fighting for it, which means it doesn't feel like you're getting it from your life in any way, shape, or form, except in the form of maybe certain administrations and the crazy things that they say. wow, what a life. Like I don't want to go to my grave feeling like that. And so I don't pity him, but it gives me context to be like, I'm doing the right thing for my life. I am living into the things that I want to live and the things that I want to do, standing up for the things that I know are right and calling out the BS that needs to be called out. And I don't have to call people a name to do that. You know, there's a lot of people who are on the Christian and they talk about being so persecuted and blamed for things. And I'm like, well, why is that? How many times have I heard you guys talk about Muslims and Islam? And then you want me to not acknowledge the things that you do that I think are equivalent to what you claim that the Muslims are doing? Please. I'm all about equitable. Let us be equitable. Let us judge equitably. Let us decide things equitably, and let us find the truth, agree upon the truth, and then share that truth and move forward in life to create an ideal world through communication, communion, and conversation that uplifts all of us, carries those that need to be carried when they need to be carried, that allows people who have more that can serve to serve, and the wisdom to know the difference. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Know the difference, my friends, and then be well and be free.